The Madman! Welcome to the neutral card star ratings. These were the star ratings that I had in place before the expansion even came out. No, I didn't change them. Promise! So I'm going to start by getting rid of all of the 1-star cards first of all. Mana Reservoir, 1 star. Looks like it might be able to see play in some sort of Divine Spirit deck, or maybe some spell damage deck, or maybe some combination of both. But ultimately, I don't see that one seeing much play. Evil Camel Rat, 1 star. What are the chances that a 2-mana 1/1 add a Lackey to your hand sees play? Like, why would you run Novice Engineer in a deck that's aggressive or tempo-y? That's probably where you would actually run Evil Camel Rat. Only the extreme combo decks run Novice Engineer, so I just don't see a place in Evil Camel Rat. Arcane Servant, 1 star. I don't think River Crocolisk for Elemental is going to cut it. Spellword Jeweler, 1 star. I don't think getting targeted by hero powers or spells for 1 turn is going to break the combo decks, unlike certain other combo breakers, which I will rate higher. Magic Carpet, 1 star. You'd have to play a lot of 1-cost minions to make this work. That seems really unlikely. What is this for? Some sort of hunter synergy with the 1-cost stuff? It has never worked, it won't work again. Henge Clan Sneak, 1 star. It's just a bad stat line. I don't think the fact that it has stealth matters at all. Flightmaster, 1 star. Joining the 3-mana 3/4 crew with a slight twist. The twist isn't enough to justify it being any good. Violet Spellsword, 1 star. In order for this to beat the vanilla test, you need to have 3 spells in your hand, and then you somehow need to be running a deck that can actually take advantage of vanilla-ish minions in a spell-heavy deck. Seems very unlikely. Traveling Healer, 1 star. I think it compares poorly to Earthen Ring Farseer. Why not just pay 1 less mana for the same Battlecry and 1 more health instead of Divine Shield? Soldier of Fortune, 1 star. If you give your opponent just 1 coin, it's like you paid 5 mana for a 5/6 elemental, and that's not worth it. I don't think it'll be good enough to fit into the Silence decks either, because you could just pay 3 mana for a 5/6. Portal Keeper, 1 star. Potential value out of this card is 11/8 for 4 mana, which is pretty good, but it's over quite a long period of time. And initially, it's just a 4 mana 5/2. Hecklebot, 1 star. This is kind of meant as a combo breaker card, but I don't think that it's going to be powerful enough to justify potentially breaking your opponent's combo from their deck. If you just summon like a 3/3 out of the opponent's deck, that's 6 stats, and this is an 11 stat minion. So if you subtract 6 stats, it's like a 4 mana for a 5 stat minion. So that's really weak. Dalaran Crusader, 1 star. 5 mana 5/4 Divine Shield just doesn't pass the vanilla test. It needs to be at least a 6/6. Azerite Elemental, 1 star. Turn comes out, it's just a 5 mana 2/7 Elemental. And then afterwards, it's a 5 mana 2/7 with spell damage +2. Like, I'm not even sure if that initially would be powerful enough. 5 mana 2/7, just spell damage 2. Seems to take too long before it pays off. Violet Warden, 1 star. This is just Archmage with Taunt. Giving it Taunt isn't enough. Portal Overfiend, 1 star. It's similar to the other Portal card, but again, it's just so slow. The turn that it comes out, it's just a 6 mana 5/6. I don't think the Demon synergy is going to be mattering for the Warlocks. Mad Summoner, 1 star. It's a symmetric effect, but it rewards the player with less of a board. If the opponent's board is almost full, you kind of want to clear their board instead of casting a 6 mana 4/4 that fills your board with imps. You'd have to be mad to run it. Underbelly Ooze, 1 star. Patron that costs 7 mana, but it doesn't give you the full health back. Seems way too slow though. Tunnel Blaster, 1 star. It's kind of like Primordial Drake, but it's missing the dragon tag, and it's slow instead of fast in terms of Battlecry versus Death Rattle. So you'll just have the minions that would die to Tunnel Blaster attack into Tunnel Blaster. Exotic Mount Seller, 1 star. If you can just get 1 spell off of the Exotic Mount Seller, you've kind of paid for a fair vanilla minion, but very slow to have to cast both this and a spell, and then like to get more profit out of it is pretty tough. Whirlwind Tempest, 1 star. This card is basically a shaman card. You're supposed to combo it with the Wind Fury spell. That's a lot of damage, but I think that it's too fringe a combination to have 1 card survive, and you have to have 10 mana. Heroic Innkeeper, 1 star. For this card to beat the vanilla test here, you need to have 3 minions out, and then it's an 8 mana 10/10 taunt. Like, that's really, really hard. It's tough to summon minions and then summon the Heroic Innkeeper, and the payoff is just one slow minion with taunt and then big stats. Unlikely to be used. Batterhead, 1 star. The stat value on this card isn't enough. You can just repeatedly kill small amounts of stuff. It's kind of like a small AoE. It just turns out that 8 mana for 3 damage AoE isn't good enough. Burly Shovel Fist, 1 star. Compared to Amani Warbear, I'd say Amani Warbear has this guy crushed. I mean, just pay 7 mana for Amani Warbear. And then Big Bad Archmage. Only useful if you manage to cheat him out. So Muck Morpher really. And is the Muck Morpher deck gonna work? No, I think it's gonna be a pure meme. And now let's go through the cards that I've actually assigned more than 1 stars. Let's start with Toxfin, 5 stars. I think that this card is excellent in the Shaman Murloc deck. I think it's gonna be a tier 1 deck and Toxfin will be in that deck. 1 mana to just turn those 1/1 Murlocs into poisonous guys. That's like so powerful. Potion Vendor, 2 stars. I think it's a really strong effect for 1 mana to restore 2 health to all friendly characters. Could see play in a Heal Druid deck, could be played in some sort of Zoo deck, could be a substitute for Circle of Healing and Priest. I think all those possibilities warrant giving the Potion Vendor an extra star. Sunreaver Spy, 3 stars. I think it's the Secret Paladin that's going to want to play it. I think that it will fit alongside the Sword, which I also rated 3 stars. I think it's going to be in some sort of tier 3 deck, since Secret Paladin just burns out so fast. Spellbook Binder, 2 stars. I think that some sort of small spell damage mage might try out the Spellbook Binder. In my experience, I found there to be too many cards that I wanted to put into small mage to fit in Spellbook Binder, but it seemed like a possibility to do that. Henge clanhag steed, 4 stars. This is a really efficient 2-cost minion, which I could see being run in a number of decks, maybe some Murloc decks, maybe the mid-range Hunter deck. It's 2 mana for 3/2 in stats, of which 2 damage is fast, and it's got Rush, and it's got the Beast and the Murloc synergy, both of which are relevant. Dalaran Librarian, 3 stars. Faceless Rager, 3 stars. Arcane Watcher, 3 stars. I think that all 3 of these cards are good in the Silence archetype. Put in the Ancient Watcher as well. I think Silence Priest is going to be around tier 3. There's some chance for Handlock as well, running the Ancient Watcher and the Arcane Watcher. And you can activate those with Dalaran Librarian. Seems like a solid plan. Faceless Rager also manages to be really powerful when you hit it on your Arcane Watcher. It might be tough to get all of these cards to work together in concert, but I think the possibility is there for the Silence package to be pretty solid. Proud Defender, 3 stars. I think it's a solid 4 mana 4/6. It's kind of like a option Tar Creeper for a lot of decks that don't run that many minions. In that case, it's kind of like Lone Defender, and Lone Defender did see a tiny bit of play as well in Control Mage type decks. Similarly, I think Proud Defender could do it. It's like 4 mana 4/6 stat line with taunt. That seems reasonable. Henge clanhag, 3 stars. It's a 4 mana for 5/5 in stats. And I think that the 2 1/1 amalgams that comes with the Henge clanhag could be really interesting. A decent amount of mid-range decks that might consider it, or maybe even Murloc decks. Heck, maybe even a Hunter. 2 things to feed to the hyena. Archmage Vargulf, 4 stars. A lot of decks could use Vargulf, and the stat line is pretty good. If you just play it on turn 4, it's tough to remove the 6 health. So here's just a list of decks that I think that he could go in. There's Token Druid, Big Spell Mage, even Small Mage, Resurrection Priest. If Big Warrior ever takes off, it's pretty insane to get the Vargulf pulled out, and then you get to have Vargulf cast the same big spell again. Vargulf into the Rushing Wyvern is pretty sweet. Who knows, maybe. There's a lot of possibilities for Vargulf. One of those is bound to work out. Sunreaver Warmage, 5 stars. Warmage is just super efficient. 5 mana 4/4, deal 4. So good. I'd say any deck that runs 4 spells that cost 5 or more would really be pulled into playing Warmage, maybe even putting in spells that they normally wouldn't just in order to run the Warmage, because she is that strong. So there are a lot of different possibilities for the Warmage. Going to be interesting to see if anyone, like how much you warp your deck in order to play this Warmage. Recurring Villain, 2 stars. Really good value if you manage to buff it over 4 attack just once. Then it's like a Cairn. tough card to evaluate because you'd have to build your deck essentially around recurring villain, but maybe that works out. Barista Lynchin, 3 stars. I didn't manage to come up with a deck that actually put in Barista Lynchin, but similar to like almost all the legendaries in this set, they're actually quite possibly good enough to put into a number of things. I see her seeing play most likely in the type of deck that would run Zola, a sort of control deck, a value deck, maybe a combo deck that really wants a certain Battlecry back. A little bit different than Zola because I don't see her getting like something specific. I see her getting value. Remains to be seen what decks will actually use Barista, but she's broad enough that I could see her being played in a number of value/control decks, and this meta seems to be all about value. Unseen Saboteur, 3 stars. This is the card that I think of all the combo busters will be the most relevant. Unseen Saboteur has the potential to ruin the Warrior Mechathune combo. The Mechathune combos are usually pretty face up. They get rid of all their cards, and they get down to the certain number of cards that are required for their combo to work off, and then you just play the Unseen Saboteur and you ruin them. Even if it's not just countering these specific combo decks, might not be a terrible value card either. So I think it's going to be run in order to stop combo decks. And I think that combo decks will suffer because Unseen Saboteur is in the format. We're saved. Safeguard, 3 stars. I think that Safeguard is very similar to Sludge Belcher. Safeguard uniquely is a mech, and the Vault Safe is also a mech, and Ziliax I expect to see a lot of play. Ziliax will go on the Safeguard, either on the original Safeguard or even on the Vault Safe. Seems like a good, solid defensive option for a lot of decks. Eccentric Scribe, 2 stars. Will a deck be able to take advantage of a Savannah Highmane with arguably worse stats and not a beast and also 1/1s instead of 2/2s? Somewhere out there, someone should be able to. But yet, I rate it lowly because I could not find a right place to put that Eccentric Scribe. I do think that the slight differences versus Savannah Highmane, as fearsome as Savannah Highmane is, make it not quite Savannah Highmane. Chef Nomi, 3 stars. Most realistic use of Chef Nomi, I think, is to run it in the Myra's Rogue. Get that 42 worth of value for 7 mana. That's like backbreaking towards the opponent. But just maybe there's decks out there which plan to go to Fatigue and you just throw in a Chef Nomi right before you do. Seems unlikely because you would rather just use the other card I'm going to show you. But Chef Nomi, that payoff is big enough that I could see some sort of miracle type deck work in a Chef Nomi finisher. Gepetto Joy Buzz joins the 3-star legendary crew. Like, all the legendaries are really getting 3 or 4 stars. There are so many uses for Gepetto Joy Buzz. Really, a lot of different combo decks. Gepetto Joy Buzz seems to be very dangerous. I feel like at least one of those ideas should work out. There are so many good cards when reduced to 1 that just have really powerful battle cries. Janali, Archmage Antonidas, the Hunter Legendary, Alexstrasza. There's just so many possibilities. One of those has got to work out. You do have to get lucky that the cards are still in your deck. But even in not a combo deck, I could see it. It's kind of like Ancient of Lore. Instead of a 7 mana 5/5, it's an 8 mana 6/6. You draw 2. But yeah, I see this as a value enabler, a combo enabler, and it's neutral, so many possibilities. And then finally, last but not least, Archivist Luciana, 4 stars. So we're entering a meta which I think is going to be very value focused. We could be living in a world where it's so value focused that decks will often go into Fatigue, in which case you just play Archivist Luciana and then you add 10 cards into your deck, and then bam, you've beaten your opponent that doesn't have Archivist Luciana in their deck. Will we enter the crazy world where you actually, because it's so value versus value oriented, put in a Youthful Brewmaster or a Baleful Banker along with your Archivist Luciana to make sure you edge out the people who are running Archivist Luciana in their deck already? Seems insane, but I don't know. If enough value is out there, maybe. So there you have it. Those are the neutral star ratings. Pretend I did that a week ago. I know nothing about the expansion so far.